protest erupted in state capital Shillong after the Justice Vaiphei inquiry report on the encounter of former HNLC leader Cheristerfield Thangkiew was tabled on the floor of the State Assembly today.
Justice delayed! Justice delayed! Justice delayed!
Alright, so there you can see protests erupted in state capital Shillong after the Justice Vaiphei inquiry report on the encounter of former HNLC leader Cheristerfield Thangkiew was tabled on the floor of the State Assembly today.
Down, down! Down, down! Down, down! Down, down! Politician no yasla! Down, down! Politician no yasla! Down, down! Politician no yasla! Down, down! Justice delayed! Justice delayed! Justice delayed! We want justice! We want justice! We want justice! We want justice! Everything for the land!
All right, more on this. We are being joined live with our news editor Nabarun Goswami from the newsroom. So, Nabarun, massive protests erupted after the inquiry report is out. So, your take on this, Nabarun?
Yes, Priya, big report there by the one-member Justice Retired T. Vaiphei Inquiry Commission there, and clearly lambasting the police for an operation which has been termed as botched up in no uncertain terms. Now, in a 30-page report, the one-man inquiry committee that was tabled in the Meghalaya Assembly today by Chief Minister Conrad Sangma, it was stated that the operation to arrest, to apprehend the former HNLC leader was botched up. The point that the report was trying to make is that Cheristerfield Thangkiew, the slain former HNLC leader, could have been arrested, apprehended alive had the police taken some precautions and had the operations gone as planned. Now, the report, I'll just read out some part of it. The report says the operation was a well-laid plan, but executed poorly, recklessly, hastily, and without proper application of mind. In other words, it was a botched-up operation and failing in its objective to apprehend the deceased alive. If the deceased would have been apprehended alive, he could have given valuable information to the police about the subversive activities of the HNLC. This is what the report says. It also talking about the operation, talking about the entire operation. The report says having entered what could potentially be a lion's den. They're talking about Cheristerfield Thankiew's residence, the compound, the premises. Having entered what could potentially be a lion's den in darkness without proper planning and without taking adequate precaution was purely avoidable and unnecessary risk that the police could have avoided. It also stated that the forced entry into the house of the deceased in darkness and the subsequent killing of the deceased was a reckless exercise and tantamount to disproportionate use of force, which resulted in the death of the deceased. This apparently defeated the very purpose of launching the operation, which was initially launched to capture him alive, but the way the operation was carried out defeated that purpose. It's a very detailed report, Priya, which also goes on to say that had the police waited for about 2 hours, the operation was carried out on August 13, 2021 at around 3 a.m., 2:45 a.m. to be precise. Had the police waited for 2.5 hours, it would have been daylight, things would have been easier. Or if they really wanted to arrest Cheristerfield Thangkiew alive, they could have lobbed tear gas shells. They would have forced the residents of the house to come out, and he could have been easily arrested alive. These are some of the points that the report notes, and it also says the finding. The finding is that tactical team 1, 2 teams were made, 2 police teams, tactical team 1, tactical team 2, 2 teams were made to carry out the operation. And it says the tactical team 1, in carrying out the operation to arrest the deceased at his residence on the 13th of August 2021 at about 3 a.m. was culpable of thoughtless and excessive use of force, which resulted in the death of the deceased. this was very much avoidable. No wonder we see those protests immediately. We saw protests erupting in the streets of Shillong. Well, the Inquiry Commission can only recommend. These are the observations. However, going into more details, of course, the Inquiry Commission also, the report rather, also makes mention of the evidence provided by the police in the run-up to the operation. Now, let me also very briefly speak about that. Mind you, from 2020 to 2021, between August 2020 to 2021, there are as many as 4 explosions for which the HNLC, the proscribed HNLC, which is now engaged in peace talks with the government, was involved. Now, of the 4 of those explosions, Cheristerfield Thangkiew was found to be allegedly directly involved in at least 3. And also, he was found to be involved in circulation of extortion, demand letters, threatening businessmen in and around Shillong. So the police had gathered a lot of information, and it was based on this evidence that the decision of his arrest was made. In fact, the police were apprehensive that another explosion, another IED explosion may take place. They were following some of the accused. They are monitoring the movement of some of the accused. It is then when they bumped upon Cheristerfield Thangkiew once again, when he went to meet one of the accused in a busy area in Shillong, and while that accused was coming back, was going back to Jaintia Hills, he was apprehended at Mauringkanang, and a package was recovered from him, which contained around 60,000 rupees, which was allegedly given by Cheristerfield Thangkiew. When police got the call report details of Cheristerfield Thangkiew, and also the CCTV footage showed that it was indeed him who was directly involved in directing the accused to cause those IED explosions. So all these is mentioned, but yes, the court believes that the operation could have been handled in a better way. It's a botched-up operation. He could have been arrested alive despite everything.